The human man didn't expect anything special that day. Jason just wanted free snacks from the intergalactic food festival held in downtown Houston. He had no job, no money, and barely any energy left after walking for hours in the summer heat. But he had heard that aliens were sharing free food samples today, so he went. The moment he entered the tent with flashing banners and alien music, he saw creatures from 100 different worlds. Some had wings, others floated, and a few even glowed. But his eyes stopped on only one. She stood alone in front of a large chocolate fountain. She was tall, silver-skinned, with glowing white hair that flowed down her back like silk. Her dress was thin, soft, and looked almost like it was made of light. Her ears were long and curved, and her eyes, bright violet, were staring wide at the thick, dripping chocolate. Jason blinked. She hadn't moved. Not even once, she didn't blink. She looked like a statue, except for her chest rising slowly as she breathed. He walked closer, slowly, curious. The other aliens were busy with their booths, but she seemed completely lost. Then she moved. She dipped her finger into the chocolate and brought it to her lips. Jason watched as she tasted it. Suddenly her eyes widened. Her whole body trembled slightly, and her mouth opened a little. Her cheeks changed color, blushing perhaps. Jason didn't know aliens could blush. She dipped again and again. This time, she scooped more chocolate into her palm and licked it eagerly. The nearby vendor frowned and tried to speak, but the alien woman didn't listen. Her eyes were half closed now, her breathing faster. Jason stepped forward. "Hey, are you okay?" he asked, his voice low but kind. She turned to him, chocolate on her lips, and stared like she was seeing a new galaxy. "I don't understand," she whispered. "What is this feeling?" Jason blinked again. Her voice was soft like wind chimes, but her expression looked confused, almost scared. "It's just chocolate," he said. "Sweet dessert. You never had chocolate before." She shook her head. "Our kind does not eat for pleasure. This is something else." "It is joy." Jason smiled. "Yeah, kinda. Chocolate makes people happy." She suddenly stepped closer, too close. Her eyes searched his face. "I want more. Please, take me away from here. My body, it's acting strange." Jason scratched the back of his head. You should probably sit down. You look like you're gonna faint." Then he noticed. Other aliens were staring now. Some Elinari elders in silver robes were whispering and pointing at her. One of them walked quickly toward them. Oh, Jason muttered. "Time to go." He gently grabbed her hand and pulled her with him. She didn't resist. She followed him like a shadow, moving fast through the crowd, her glowing dress catching eyes as they passed. They ran past food stalls, through the back exit, and into a quiet alley behind the tent. Jason leaned against the wall, breathing hard. The alien girl stood there, hands on her chest, her eyes still fixed on him. "I am Liari," she said. "You touched me." "I didn't mean anything weird," Jason said, raising his hands. "I just wanted to help." "No," she said, taking a step closer. "You touched something inside me. I feel warm. My skin, my heart, my mind. This is not allowed." "But I like it." Jason looked away. "Okay, now I'm confused." Liari leaned her back against the wall beside him. Her body glowed gently in the shadows. "I am from the Elinari royal path," she whispered. "We are trained to avoid all pleasure. But now, because of chocolate and you, I don't think I can stop." Jason looked at her carefully. She didn't seem crazy, just lost. "You're saying chocolate messed you up?" She nodded. "I need to understand. Please, stay with me, at least until it stops." Jason wanted to say no. He wasn't ready for weird alien drama. But her eyes looked so soft, so helpless. And something in his chest told him if he left her now, something bad might happen. He sighed. "All right, you can come with me. My place is small, but it's quiet." She smiled, the first time since they met. Then I will follow, she said. As they stepped out of the alley together, Liari's fingers gently wrapped around his hand again. And in that moment, Jason had no idea that a simple piece of chocolate would change his life forever. Jason never gave out his address to strangers, especially not glowing alien women who talked about feelings like hunger and joy with such intensity. But now it was almost midnight, and someone was gently knocking on his door. He opened it. There she stood, Liari, still silver-skinned, still glowing softly, and still breathtaking in her strange, alien way. But something had changed. Her breathing was shallow. Her eyes were wide and wet. She clutched a bag of sweets in both hands, but her hands were trembling. I tried everything, she said softly. Nothing tastes same. Nothing fills the space inside. Jason blinked, stepping aside. Come in. She walked in barefoot, like a lost child. Her elegant glowing dress now had a few wrinkles, and her hair looked slightly tangled. He could tell she had been walking for hours. Maybe more. She dropped the bag on his kitchen table. It was full of chocolates, different brands, sizes, even a jar of chocolate spread. She must have bought them or begged them from vendors after their escape from the festival. I thought it was the chocolate, she whispered, not looking at him. But now I think it's you. Jason froze. Wait, me? I didn't give you anything except a little help. You gave me attention, she said slowly. You gave me safety. You touched my hand without fear, and now I crave not just taste, but closeness. Jason sat down. Okay, I think we need to talk this out before this gets any weirder. Liari sat opposite him, her eyes locked on his. In my culture, we never eat alone, she said. We never share food with outsiders, but I shared with you. And now, something inside me is growing. Jason looked nervous. Is this a mating thing? Please tell me it's not a mating thing. Liari tilted her head. Not yet, but something deeper has started. I feel pulled. My skin burns if I'm far from you. My sleep is full of dreams I don't understand. Jason rubbed his temples. Liari, I'm just a guy. I work odd jobs. I sleep on a broken couch. You come from a royal alien race. Why me? She reached out, her fingers brushing his. Because you didn't treat me like something strange. You didn't laugh at me, you didn't run. Jason sighed. Okay, I get it. But why are you here now? Because the elders sent a message. They know I bonded. They will come for me. They may even erase what I feel. Jason's eyes widened. Erase? Like wipe your memory? She nodded. Or worse. Silence filled the room. Jason looked down at the chocolates spilled across the table. Something as simple as candy started this. And now it might get someone hurt. You can stay here, Jason said finally. But I can't promise I'll understand everything. Liari smiled for the second time since they met. I don't want understanding, she whispered. I want truth and warmth and maybe more chocolate. Jason chuckled, just a little. He opened one of the candy bars and handed it to her. She bit into it, slowly, like it was the last sweet on earth. Then she made a sound soft and breathy, like a sigh mixed with a song. Jason looked at her closely. Something was definitely different. Her skin shimmered with each heartbeat. Her pupils widened with every bite. Her voice became lighter. Liari, are you sure your kind is supposed to eat this stuff? No, she said between chews. But maybe it's time someone broke the rules. Suddenly, a deep humming noise echoed. From outside the house, Jason ran to the window. 3 Elinari ships floated above the street, silent, silver and glowing with light. The lights focused on his house. They found you, he whispered. Liari stood up calmly, her hands still stained with melted chocolate. They won't take me, she said. Not unless they take you too. Jason turned to her. Why me? Because. Now, she said. placing a warm hand on his chest. "You are part of my craving." Jason stood frozen in front of the window, watching the 3 alien ships hover above his street like silent ghosts. Their pale silver lights lit up the front yard like it was noon. But he wasn't afraid of the ships. He was afraid of what was happening inside his small house. Behind him, Liari stood tall and calm, glowing more brightly than before. Her skin pulsed with faint waves of light, and her voice had changed. It was no longer soft, it had power now. And when she spoke, the walls seemed to listen. "They came too fast," Jason said, stepping away from the window. "How did they find you?" "I am not just anyone to them," she replied. "They tracked my heart." "Your heart?" he repeated. She turned toward him and took his hand. "Ever since I tasted that chocolate and looked into your eyes, something in me broke free. They can feel the change from across the stars. They know I'm no longer pure." Jason pulled his hand away, nervous. "You keep saying I caused it, but I didn't do anything." "Yes," she whispered. "You didn't try to claim me. You didn't try to control me. That's what makes this more dangerous." Liari walked over to his mirror and stared into her own reflection. "My kind are raised to obey. We're taught emotions are dangerous. Pleasure is poison. But now I feel everything. Hunger, joy, pain, desire, all at once." Jason watched as she placed her fingers over her stomach. "It hurts, but it also feels right." He slowly walked closer. "What are you saying, Liari?" "I'm changing. My biology is rewriting itself because of you." Jason took a step back. "I didn't even touch you, at least not in that way." "You didn't have to," she said, turning around. "We Elinari bond through senses. Touch, sound, taste. The chocolate unlocked something ancient in me, but your presence keeps it alive." Jason sat down, feeling dizzy. "You're saying you're becoming something else?" Liari nodded. "Half Elinari, half something unknown. A new kind, and I'm scared." Before Jason could respond, the ceiling above them began to flicker with blue light. A voice filled the room, not from Earth, subject Liari of House. "Shivari, surrender. You are violating the sacred condition. Return now." Liari's body shimmered, reacting to the command like it was pulling her away by force. Her knees buckled. Jason rushed to catch her. "No," she gasped. "They're trying to take control of me using the old commands." Jason held her tightly. "Resist them. You're not theirs anymore." "I don't know if I can," she whispered. "They raised me. Trained me. I obeyed them all my life." Jason looked into her eyes. "You've already done more than they ever expected. You chose freedom. You chose taste. You chose feeling." She reached up and touched his face, trembling. "If I lose this fight, I'll forget you. I'll forget the warmth of your hand, the sweetness of chocolate, and the way you looked at me like I was real." Jason closed his fingers around hers. "Then I won't let them win." Suddenly the floor vibrated. A beam of soft blue light scanned through the walls and locked onto Liari's body. Her glow flickered. Her breath became shaky. Her voice broke. "They're pulling me into the recall net." Jason stood up. "There has to be a way to stop this." She looked at him, her eyes glowing with both fear and hope. "There is one way," she said. "But it means you must bond with me fully. It will make the change permanent." Jason blinked. "Bond? What kind of bond?" "Not mating," she said gently. "It's deeper. It's the joining of memories, emotions, senses. You must let me feel your soul, and you must feel mine." Jason swallowed hard. "Will it hurt?" "No," she said, "but it will change you too." The lights above them grew brighter. The voice returned. "Final warning. Return now or be erased." Jason took a breath. Then he stepped toward her. "Let's do it." Liari's eyes filled with light, and she placed both hands on his chest. In a flash of warmth and color, Jason's mind opened. He saw stars, felt her loneliness. Her long years of silence, her hunger for touch, her sorrow, her joy, her trembling wish to be more than just a tool. She felt his pain too, his broken dreams, his longing for purpose. His silent nights alone. They held onto each other as the lights above them cracked and blinked. The alien voice glitched, then stopped. Liari collapsed in his arms, glowing with a gentle silver fire. Her breathing was calm. Her skin was warm. Jason held her close. "You okay?" he asked softly. She opened her eyes and smiled. "I am no longer theirs," she whispered. "Now I'm ours." Jason woke up to the sound of metal scraping and voices shouting in a language he didn't understand. He blinked, confused, sitting up on the floor of his living room. Liari was gone. His chest tightened. He searched the room, but her glow was missing, her warmth vanished. The faint smell of chocolate still hung in the air. Then the front door exploded inward. 3 tall, Elinari soldiers in mirror-like armor stepped inside. They didn't ask questions. They didn't wait. 2 grabbed Jason by the arms. The third aimed a strange silver rod at his chest. "Human Jason of Earth, you are under protective detainment under Elinari diplomatic law," the taller one said in a cold, flat voice. "Protective what?" "Where's Liari?" Jason shouted. They didn't answer. They moved quickly, dragging him through the ruined doorway and into a glowing transport pod floating above the street. Neighbors watched from behind curtains. Some were filming with phones. Jason shouted again, but no one helped. Inside the pod, everything was silver, quiet, and sterile. The pod shot into the sky at impossible speed. Within seconds, it docked into a massive structure in orbit, smooth, blinding white with no windows. Like a floating cathedral, they pulled him through long halls lined with strange markings and whispering walls. Every surface glowed faintly, and every turn led deeper into the heart of the embassy. Finally, the guards shoved him into a circular room with no windows and no door behind him. Liari was there. She sat cross-legged on a glowing platform, surrounded by 3 elders in silver robes. Her glow was dimmer now. Her expression was blank, eyes lowered. Jason rushed forward. "Liari!" She didn't move. One of the elders turned. His face was long and flat, eyes shining like moons. "She is in recall meditation. Her memories are being reviewed." Jason stepped back. "You're brainwashing her?" The elder shook his head. "We are healing her from your contamination." "She's not sick," Jason said sharply. "She's alive, she's feeling. She's happy." The second elder, a woman with markings running down her cheeks, stepped forward. "She is out of balance. Her kind must not feel too deeply. Emotion destroys our society." Jason clenched his fists. "No emotion makes her real. You're scared because she's growing." The third elder raised a device and aimed it at Jason. "You brought uncontrolled pleasure to a noble Elinari. For this, you may be erased." Jason laughed bitterly. "All I did was give her a chocolate bar. You act like I started a war." The first elder's eyes narrowed. "You started something worse. A hybrid bond. A merging of minds and emotion. That type of bond could cause rebellion, chaos." Jason stepped between them and Liari. "So what now? You erase me? Erase her?" "No," said the female elder. "She will decide." Suddenly the light around Liari's body brightened. Her eyes opened slowly, violet and sharp, like twin stars waking up. "I remember," she whispered. Elders turned. Liari looked at Jason. Her voice was weak but steady. "I remember everything. The taste, the laughter, the fear, the choice." The elder moved to her. "Child, let go of it. Let us return you to peace." Liari stood. Her hands trembled, but her back was straight. "I don't want peace. I want truth. I want freedom." The elder raised his hand, glowing with soft energy. "You will hurt yourself." "I'd rather hurt," Liari said, stepping toward Jason. Then forget what it means to feel alive. The elders whispered among themselves. She must undergo the trial of purity, one said. Jason frowned. What's that? If she passes, the woman elder explained, she can return to your world with full memories. If she fails, she will be made clean emptied of all emotions. Jason turned to Liari. That's not fair. She smiled softly. It's the only way. A moment later, 2 guards entered and separated them again. Jason was pulled into another room, bright and white, with a single chair and a glass wall. The other side of the glass, Liari stood alone inside a glowing circle. A voice echoed, loud and strange. Liari of House Shivari, prove that your emotions are not dangerous. Resist the pull of your kind. Declare your bond with the human if you are certain. Liari looked forward, shaking. Jason pressed his hands to the glass. You can do this, he whispered. Don't let them take what you've become. She turned her head slightly, her eyes meeting his. And then she spoke. I declare him my heartmate, she said, her voice ringing like music through the chamber. I choose him. And I choose this path, even if it means I can never return. The elders gasped. The circle around her flared. The walls trembled. The trial was over, and Liari had passed. Jason had never been inside a spaceship before this week, and now he was inside one again, this time willingly. He sat in a quiet room filled with soft glowing plants, white cushions, and a peaceful hum in the walls. Across from him sat Liari, her skin now shining with a gentler light, her long white hair braided over her shoulder. She was calmer now, stronger, but also different. They hadn't spoken much since the trial. Jason had questions, but Liari only asked for rest. The elders allowed her to stay on the ship one more night before releasing her to Earth. Under one condition: regular medical scans. Jason thought it was over. That maybe, finally, life would go back to normal. He was wrong. Liari reached for his hand, her fingers warm and soft. She looked into his eyes, and for the first time, she didn't seem confused or afraid. She seemed certain. Jason, she said gently, my body is no longer mine alone. Jason blinked. What do you mean? She placed his hand gently over her lower stomach. I'm carrying a fusion, she whispered. It began the moment I bonded with you. Jason's heart stopped. Fusion? Like a baby? She nodded slowly. We call it a joining. It's not like your human pregnancy. It's created through emotional energy and genetic resonance. Your thoughts, your feelings, your presence. They shaped something new inside me. Jason stood up, stepping back. But we didn't, you and I, we never. No physical act was needed, she said, her voice calm. We Elinari reproduce through connection, through chosen bonds. You gave me joy, warmth, identity. And now life is forming because of it. Jason sat down again, stunned. This isn't how things work on Earth, he muttered. She agreed, but Earth isn't the only world anymore. He looked up. Are you sure it's mine? Liari tilted her head. There's no doubt. Your scent, your thoughts, your DNA, it echoes in me. The child is a blend of our kinds, a first. Jason ran both hands down his face. So now what? What happens to us? To the baby? Before she could answer, the door slid open. An older Elinari female stepped in, one of the embassy's healers. She held a thin glowing tablet and bowed her head slightly. Confirmed, she said. The fusion is stable. Growth pattern is strong. The child will be powerful. Jason looked between them. Powerful how? The healer spoke carefully. This child is the first of its kind. A bridge between Elinari and human. It carries both thought, empathy, and emotional depth. It may feel more than either of you can imagine. Liari smiled faintly. The elders fear it will change everything. Jason stood up again. Are they going to try and take the baby? The healer shook her head. Not yet. But many on them. Council are watching. Some want the child raised among the Alinari. Others want it silenced. Jason clenched his jaw. That won't happen. Liari stood beside him. They can't take what was created by love. Jason turned to her slowly. Was it love? Liari nodded. I didn't know the word at first, but I felt it in every moment we shared. Your kindness, your patience, the way you looked at me like I mattered. That's what love is, isn't it? Jason looked down at her hand in his. Yeah, I guess it is. The healer left quietly, giving them space. They sat together in silence for a while. Liari leaned her head on his shoulder. Then Jason spoke. So, what do we do now? Liari answered without hesitation. We go back to Earth. We hide if we must, but we raise this life together. Jason chuckled softly. I never thought chocolate could lead to all this. She smiled. You never thought someone like me would walk into your life either. He nodded. You're right. Suddenly, the ship jolted. A siren echoed through the halls. Liari stood up fast, eyes narrowing. What was that? Jason asked. A voice came through the speaker. Warning. Unauthorized ships approaching. Weapons hot. Liari turned pale. It's the extremist faction. They believe the child is a threat to Alinari purity. Jason stood up. We need to get out now. Liari ran to the wall, pressed her palm on a glowing circle. There's an emergency pod below deck. It's meant for diplomats. It can take US to Earth. Jason grabbed her hand. Then let's go. They ran through the shining halls, the hum of the ship growing louder. As they reached the launch bay, the floor shook. Lights flickered. Outside the window, alien ships circled like vultures. Liari helped Jason into the pod. She followed, holding her stomach as if already guarding the life inside. As the hatch sealed, Jason looked into her eyes. No matter what happens, I'm with you. The pod shot out into space, heading straight for Earth. Behind them, warships burned silver trails through the stars, and inside the tiny escape pod, the first child of two worlds waited to be born. The sky above Houston split open the moment the escape pod entered. Earth's atmosphere. Bright fire trailed behind the small vessel, and people across the city saw it streak past the clouds. Many thought it was a meteor. Others feared it was a weapon. But no one expected what actually landed just outside the abandoned fairgrounds too. Survivors and something far more important than either of them. Jason coughed hard as the pod door hissed open. Smoke drifted out. He helped Liari down, wrapping his jacket around her. Her glow was weak, and her hands rested protectively over her stomach. They were alive, but not safe. Within minutes, news vans surrounded the area. Helicopters hovered. Government agents blocked roads. Lights, cameras, drones, everything pointed at them. And then the question started. Is it true you bonded with an alien? Is she really carrying a human alien child? Is this the start of a new species? Jason didn't answer. He held Liari close and moved toward the people who didn't look like press soldiers, doctors, and someone in a dark suit with no name tag. A tall woman in a black coat stepped forward. She didn't smile. My name is Agent Ross, she said. United Nations Department of Interplanetary Relations. We're here to make sure you're not harmed. But we're also here to ask questions. Jason narrowed his eyes. Are you here to help her or control her? We don't want a war, Ross replied. But the child she carries has already become a global concern. Half the planet thinks it's a miracle. The other half thinks it's a weapon. Liari raised her head. I am not your threat. Agent Ross gave her a long look. That depends on how Earth responds to change. Jason took a step forward. This baby is part of me, part of her. It deserves protection, not testing, not cages. Agent Ross nodded slowly. You'll be taken to a safe location. No labs. No experiments. but we'll have to keep surveillance. This is bigger than you know." They were escorted into a black transport van with tinted windows. As it moved through the city, Jason saw giant screens flashing images of their arrival news anchors, shouting words like miracle, first contact pregnancy, and genetic fusion. Social media exploded. People argued online. Memes, debates, prayers, protests. Some praised Liari as the mother of unity. Others said she had corrupted humanity's bloodline. And through it all, Liari remained calm. She leaned on Jason's shoulder and whispered, "I feel them. Their fear, their wonder. It shakes the air." Jason held her tighter. "We'll get through this." They arrived at a secure home deep in the woods. No fences, no guards outside, just quiet trees and hidden eyes. Inside, there was a soft bed, clean food, and constant scanning fields. Liari spent the first night sleeping deeply. Jason stayed up, watching the stars through the window. Everything had changed so fast. He was just a guy who liked chocolate. Now he was the future's father. The next morning, everything exploded again. A message arrived from the Elinary Council. A hologram filled their cabin. "We recognize the fusion," a deep voice said, "but we cannot allow it to be raised. In chaos, the child must be brought back to our world, or terminated." Jason stood up fast. "Over my dead body." Liari placed her hand on her stomach. "You will not touch what belongs to love." The voice continued, "Then Earth must decide. Accept the Elinary child as a symbol of peace or prepare for isolation." The hologram vanished. Jason turned to Liari. "They're trying to use our baby as leverage." She nodded. "And Earth must now choose between fear and hope." Hours later, a press conference was held. But Jason and Liari weren't allowed to speak. Politicians, scientists, religious leaders all debated without knowing the truth. One senator called the child a ticking bomb. A famous doctor said it was evolution's next step. A spiritual leader wept and said, "A union of souls, this pure must be protected." Finally, a single unexpected voice broke through. A little girl appeared on screen. She had drawn a picture of Liari and Jason holding hands with a glowing baby. Between them, her voice was small but clear. "If love made the baby," she said, "then love should raise the baby." The crowd went silent. Jason and Liari watched the broadcast from their cabin. "She understands more than all the adults." Jason whispered. Lyari smiled, "Because her heart is still open." The next day, everything shifted. Public support for Kurfor. Jason and Liari exploded. Artists, teachers, even former soldiers began speaking out in their favor. The phrase "love made the baby" began trending across Earth, but hope didn't mean safety. As Jason stepped outside to get fresh air, a dart flew past his ear and hit the tree behind him. Sniper. He dove back inside and locked the door. Liari screamed, pulling him away from the window. Jason touched her face. "They're scared. Some of them want us gone." She placed his hand over her stomach again. "We must protect them," she said, "even if the world isn't ready." Jason nodded. "Then we'll protect them together." The house in the woods was silent, too silent. Jason crouched near the back door, holding a homemade shield from kitchen metal and a wrench in his other hand. Liari was upstairs, lying on the bed, sweating, glowing, whispering strange words in her native tongue. She was going into labor, and someone was outside 3 nights ago. The Elinary Council declared that Earth had failed to control the hybrid situation. They claimed Liari's unborn child would shatter galactic balance. They gave Earth a choice: surrender the child to them, or face quiet removal. But Jason and Liari had already chosen. They ran. Now they were off-grid. No cameras, no tracking chips. Just 2 scared souls, waiting for something that couldn't be stopped. Suddenly, the floor trembled. Jason rushed to the stairs. "Liari?" Her voice came soft and broken. "They're here, but so is he." "The little one, he's coming." Jason froze. "Now?" She nodded, her body trembling, her silver skin pulsing with light. "The fusion is awakening." Jason ran to her side. He had no medical training, no plan. But he had towels, warm water, and one promise burned into his heart, no matter what. He'd never let her go through this alone. Outside, branches cracked. Voices echoed in the trees. A ship hovered low and silent above the clouds, cloaked from human radar. Inside, life was about to begin. Liari screamed, not in pain, but in power. A bright wave of silver light burst from her body and shook the cabin. The windows cracked. Jason fell to his knees, shielding his eyes. And then silence. He opened his eyes. She lay on the bed, breathless but smiling. And in her arms was a child, not crying, not screaming, just glowing calmly. Silver skin with soft golden eyes, hair like starlight, fingers so small they barely curled. Jason stepped forward, tears running down his face. "Is that?" Liari looked up at him, eyes full of exhaustion and love. "He is ours, but he is also more." Jason gently held the baby. A strange warmth filled his chest, not fear, not confusion. Just pure peace. Suddenly, outside, the trees split apart. 3 Elinari warriors stepped forward, faces masked, weapons drawn. Jason stood between them and the house. One warrior shouted, "You cannot keep what belongs to the council." Jason held the child higher. "He doesn't belong to you. He's not your property." The warrior stepped forward. "Then Earth will suffer." Before Jason could speak again, the child in his arms raised a single hand. Light exploded from his palm. A wave of calm, not violence. The Elinari warriors stopped in their tracks. They lowered their weapons. One fell to his knees, eyes wide. "He touched my mind." Another whispered, "He carries all our thoughts, but none of our hatred." Jason looked down at the baby, stunned. What did he do? Liari stood beside him, weak but proud. He sent peace, a message in thought form. He told them, he only wants love. The warriors slowly backed away. Then they vanished into the trees, silent, as if forgiven. Jason turned to Liari. "He did that," she nodded. "He's not just ours now. He belongs to more than Earth, more than Elinari." They named him Lyr, a word that meant bridge of light in her language. In the weeks that followed, the story spread of a child who stopped soldiers with emotion alone, of a baby who calmed fears without speaking. The world and the stars beyond changed again. Some humans called Lyr an angel. Some feared him still. But others began to open their minds to something new, a future shared, not divided. Years passed. Jason walked through a public park with Liari beside him and Lyr, now a curious toddler, running ahead. Lyr glowed even. In sunlight, butterflies followed him. Strangers stopped and smiled. Jason looked at Liari. "Do you think we're safe now?" She smiled. "We're never completely safe, but we're seen. And sometimes, that's enough." He reached for her hand. She took it, fingers still warm, still gentle. And in that moment, Jason didn't feel like just a human. He felt like part of something bigger, a story that started with a simple chocolate fountain and led to the birth of a new kind of future.